we're back with Bruce Mail. He's a car collector extraordinaire, and we've actually got to see his Delahaye in just an unbelievable car. I've never seen anything as beautiful or lines as flowing as this. I guess that's why you were attracted to it.
Well, it's an interesting story. My wife and I were in London one January on vacation, and I decided to look at some car shows, venues.
Right.
And we walked past in Kensington, London, a place called Coys of Kensington, which is an auction house and a sales. And I saw this car in the window. And I just stood there and ogled and said, we've got to go in and see this car. We walked in, and I'd never seen a car. I didn't know what it was, but it was the most beautiful automobile I had ever come across. And we had a nice discussion with the managing director, who told me that I couldn't buy it because it was their feature car in their next auction. And I said, well, let's work out a way that I can buy it. So we had a little deal, and I actually bought the car from the seller, but agreed to put it in their auction so they wouldn't have any legal issues.
Sure, sure.
And I was happy to do that. I put a reserve on it that was ridiculously high in order to make sure that I ended up with the car. And even though that was in London, I was back in Boston. I was on the phone during the auction, and some kind gentleman came within $25,000 of buying this car, which my heart was thumping over. But we did end up with it. Just as a historical thing, the car was one of 3 found in India in a pretty decrepit state. And the gentleman who recognized what they were bought them, brought them back to the UK, and that's where all 3 were restored. This is one of the 3. All 3 were painted in French blue, which is very nice, but I felt that black would show the car and its chrome and its curves a lot better.
It is beautiful, and black is the appropriate color for this car. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that Delahayes were made at one time in black. So.
Well, for the 30s, you know, it would have probably been.
Right.
So this car has some sort of interesting ways that the spare tire, fueling, things like that.
And as well as it had a very advanced gear shift.
Really?
You know, it's an electronic hydraulic COTAL, C-O-T-A-L, gear shift, which was way advanced for the time. It's an electronic gear shift, and it has 4 speeds to the front and 4 speeds to the rear, should you want to do that.
Because it has a center reverse gear, so it can either way.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. So that makes it a little different. It's a joy to drive because you just go click, 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 and it changes gears.
Wow.
And if you'd like to see the trunk,
yeah, let's see.
We can handle that for you.
Yeah, let's take a look at this.
Take this side, unbutton those.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I think I left it undone.
This is pretty cool.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. You know, this is all formed aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
All handmade.
All handmade. So
you have the spare, you have the gas filler on the other side, and absolutely no room for luggage.
You know, it doesn't really matter where you're going. It matters what you're driving to get there, you know? So sitting in...
It's a touring car.
Yeah.
You find it comfortable.
Absolutely.
I find it comfortable. Easy to drive, especially if you're used to right-hand drives, which I am. Can't go above 50 or so because the fenders start to shake a little, but you know, we don't have to do more than 50 or 60.
You're touring, you're seeing things along the way.
Exactly. So, and it's...
Now, quite a unique shifting system. You were mentioning, before we were talking, but it's right here on the left-hand side, almost a predecessor to a paddle shifter.
Right, it's called a COTAL gear shift. It's electronic hydraulic, so that you can just easily go from first to second, second to third, third to fourth, and in reverse. So you're right, it is like a little bit like a paddle shifter, except it was 50 years ago.
That's right. And now this,
More.
70.
70 years.
That's
You're
right.
absolutely right. My math is off.
So, but a clutch. So you use the clutch to shift.
The clutch to shift.
Right, right. And an inline six.
Inline six, which we can take a look at for sure.
Absolutely. And so, you know, again, it was an exciting story. You just sort of, you fell in love with it. It was love at first sight, really.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it?
It really was.
I'd love to sometime go for a ride with you in this car. I mean, it's just, I bet you she's graceful though at under 50, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graceful's a good term.
Graceful, right? You know, she's a genuine she. That's how you have to look at it, right?
Definitely a woman.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And women love this car.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Come on.
Whatever.
We enjoyed talking to Bruce again about his Delahaye. Just a beautiful car. Probably the most beautiful car I've ever sat in. Thanks for joining us at Classic Drive. We'll be back.